Paper. Welcome to ScrigTV. We're going to talk about the NBA Finals. We're going to talk about the Cubs spiraling. We're going to give some NFL picks that are way, way too early. We're going to talk about Spider-Man Noir and the upcoming Spider-Man movie, the upcoming House of the Dragon series. I have not read the book, so we're going to go do some non-spoiler predictions. And then we're going to go drop my top 5 anime. After after that, at the end of the show, we're going to go ahead and lock in some picks. So, let's get started. All right, let's talk about some Knicks Spurs action. Knicks go up 2-0 in San Antonio. 1 point game. Very chaotic ending. Uh, I had picked the Knicks. I had picked the Knicks before the series. If you wanna check me, you go check out one of my streams from a few days ago before day one. I put Knicks in 7. So that pick may not be correct at this point. The Knicks are going home to MSG up 2-0. This is a young Spurs team. There's a good chance that this does not come back. There's a good chance the series is over. There's a good chance that they go to MSG in that very, very, very toxic environment, and this very young team just has no answer. I'll tell you what, the absolute glue guy work from Josh Hart, the modern Draymond Green, he's got a defensive player of the year in his future, I'm certain. Maybe not. Well, maybe not with Wemby in the league, but this guy is absolutely doing championship stuff. He's that guy. Jalen Brunson, of course, as clutch as ever. He has a not good game. He does not play well the whole game, pretty much. Has a bad game. Shot 7 for 25 overall. Does it matter? No. His team kept it close. The coaches kept it close. And then he comes in, last possessions, in the last few possessions of the game, and he just does Jalen Brunson stuff. It's the same stuff we were seeing with Tyrese Halliburton last season. Jalen Brunson, last few minutes of the fourth quarter, he is going to get you the win. The Spurs can't let it be close. And I mean, the Spurs had a chance. The Spurs had a chance. 7 seconds on the clock. Wemby has the ball all the way on the other side of the court. Makes a rookie mistake. He's not a rookie, but as far as the finals and the playoffs, he might as well be a rookie. He throws it right into Stephon Castle's back, and Jalen Brunson gets the steal. The thing is, they had a timeout. They had a timeout. They should have called that timeout. Mitch Johnson is a young coach. This isn't just a young team. They've got a young coach. And Mitch Johnson, you got to call that timeout. You have to call that timeout there. It's really as simple as that. You just have to call that timeout. You can't. And also, they don't call the timeout, and they've got a final possession, and Wemby. The play is to have Wemby play hero ball like he's Kevin Durant from the wing. That's what we're doing. I get it. I get he's Wemby, but this is a good, like, these guys, this team can set up a good play. This team can set up a good play. We don't have to we don't have to be Kevin Durant. We don't have to have some heroic moment. We need to get the win. We need to get the win, and that's what the Spurs have always been about. And I don't, we did. This has not been that in this finals. So, um, game three, game three, I gotta say, my original pick was Knicks in 7, but I gotta say, two very, very demoralizing losses for the Spurs at home, and now they're going to MSG for 2 games. Game three, I would honestly, I'm not a fan of either team. I would love to say that Wemby and the Spurs are going to go win a game. If I'm putting money on this, if I'm making official picks, I think the Knicks are going to go ahead and close this out in 4 now. They're not bringing it back to San Antonio. The Knicks are going to win the next 2 games. The Knicks are going to win game 3, and then they're going to win game 4, and this series is over. They are just the more experienced team. They have, I mean, not just more playoff experience. Multiple guys on their team have a bunch of NCAA championship experience. They've been in situations where the lights were this bright. They can do this. So I'm picking the Knicks in Game 3. I think it's just going to be a similar show. And honestly, this might be the hot take here, if there is one. I think that the Spurs may completely be flustered and demoralized. I think we might see a 10 to 15, 20-point victory on Monday. So that's my prediction for the Spurs. All right, let's talk some Chicago Cubs. They were looking like they had taken that next step in April. April had the Chicago Cubs looking like a young budding team who had finally taken that step that everyone was expecting them to take into the all-star level team that they should be. And then May 7th and on happened. And from what looked like first place in the division season, from what looked like a Pete Crow Armstrong MVP season potentially, has now turned into the Cubs are 33 and 31. They have played just as bad in the second half of May and early part of June here, as good as they did in April. So what we've got here is a team that maybe they just got too big in the head, or maybe they were never that good to begin with. Last season, they also had kind of a good first half of the season, and then the second half of the season, a few of the stars like Pete Crow Armstrong had started to struggle, and it seems that maybe hitting the team a bit earlier now. The Cubs, I'm no baseball expert by any means. I'm just a fan. The Cubs are not looking good. Uh, yeah, I mean, the Giants are also not looking good, by the way. And that's the team that we just gave up 18 runs to. So, again, the Cubs, they've just got nothing going for them at this point. Maybe they'll turn it around. Maybe they'll even out. But they're definitely not looking like the first place team, the young budding team who had taken that next step. They're certainly starting to fall off way earlier than they should be. And this is just classic Chicago stuff right here. So it's hard to be a fan of the Cubs. 2016 was a miracle year, and since then they've been rebuilding, and this was supposed to be that next step year, and April, man, they had it going. It really felt like they had something, and it was gonna be that. And again, a little recency bias from me on both months, right? After April, I was thinking this team has got it. They've done it. But uh, and now a little recency bias on the other end in May, in early part of June here. But I mean, you don't fall that hard and go to 33 and 31 on accident, right? I mean, I could play some clips, but you guys all have access to the same clips. Look up the missed fielding opportunities by Pete Crow Armstrong. I've been seeing them all over social media. I mean, it's been an ugly show. It from what started as this this typing celebration. They had so much aura type shit, right? And now they are just shit. So um, that's Chicago though. Here we are. Maybe they'll turn it around. Maybe they'll sneak into the playoffs. But it's starting to look ugly for Chicago. All right, time to do a way too early NFL preview, NFL picks, and my general consensus on the season. So I'm sure all of you have seen Myles Garrett to the Rams for a bag of chips. Just kidding. They got, the Browns got like a first round pick and a player. But it's the Browns, so they're not going to do anything with that pick. So it might as well have been a bag of chips. So Myles Garrett, though, the best defender in the league, is going to go ahead and go to the Rams now, a contender team that almost went to the Super Bowl just this last year. Matthew Stafford, in his last season or two, probably he might have a few more in him. Probably unlikely though. We're looking at Matt's last couple years here, maybe even last season, especially if he wins the Super Bowl, he might just go out on top. Uh, Aaron Donald with some conspicuous tweets after the Myles Garrett trade, and people talking about how he mentioned last season that if the Rams traded for uh, Cowboys player Micah Parsons, who is now on the Packers, uh, that he would come out of retirement. Well, Aaron, the Rams just got Myles Garrett. Imagine that defensive line if Aaron Donald comes out of retirement. And even if he doesn't, let's make the prediction based on Aaron Donald staying retired. I gotta say, the Rams look really, really good. Already, probably the best offense talent-wise in the league. They can put up the numbers better than anybody in the league. Red zone offense, undeniable. I mean, Devontae Adams, they lost in the playoffs to a phenomenal defense, but here's the thing. Throw Myles Garrett on the other side of the ball. If it comes down to a defensive juggernaut, you know, boxing match, then I think the Rams have a better chance now with Myles Garrett on the other side of the ball. So, Rams, in my eyes, are about to have a really, really good season. Seahawks, the defending champions, they, I think, will take a slight step back. You know, it's really hard to repeat as champions in the NFL. So, anything other than a Super Bowl victory is a step back, right? You know, I think Sam Darnold might throw a few more picks this season, might be a little more inefficient. The defense probably won't be as perfect as they were last season. I think they're going to be a playoff team. I think they're going to be second in their division to the Rams, and I think they're probably going to lose in the first or second round of the playoffs. The Patriots, they just got A.J. Brown. I got to say, a Super Bowl loss for them, a Super Bowl loss for Drake May. And bringing in a guy who's won a Super Bowl to be his receiver, I like the Patriots. I don't necessarily like them repeating as Super Bowl losers or winners, but I do like that team. I think they're going to be good for a while. I think they're going to make a deep run into next year's playoffs, win their division over the Bills, and probably lose in the conference finals to somebody. We'll see, though. The Bills, speaking of, same old, probably, right? I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the NFL during the regular season. I think they're going to get slightly edged out by the Patriots in their own division. I think they're going to win the first round or two of the playoffs. And then I think they're going to lose a really close game before they make it to the Super Bowl. That's not a hot take. That is what the Bills do every single year. If you're a betting person, if you're here to see what my gambling advice is, then I would bet on the Bills doing exactly what they do every single season. It's a very, very structured, uh, premeditated thing they have going on. It's gonna happen. It's going to happen. So, yep. Let's see. Eagles. Eagles gonna take a step back. The thing is, they probably still just win their division, unless the Giants take a big, big leap. I think the Eagles take a slight step back, maybe 10-11 win season, win their division, first round exit. The Commanders, the Commanders, they got Jaden Daniels. I really liked him his rookie year. He seemed to have fallen off a bit, injuries, all that stuff. I don't have high hopes for the Commanders. The Cowboys are going to cowboy. What can you even say about the Cowboys, man? They'll probably be better this season. a little bit. 0% chance they make the Super Bowl. 0% chance they win more than one playoff game. That's just cowboy shit. I like the Packers. I like the Lions. I like the Bears. I kind of like the Vikings. I don't like the Vikings that much though. I think that I think the Vikings are going to be really cool to watch. Some talent on that team. I think if Kyler Murray gets the starting job, he's going to get the starting job. Then I think the Vikings do the same thing they did last year probably. Probably a 9-8, 8-9 kind of season and just barely miss the playoffs cuz their division is really good. Bears. The Bears look good, you know? Their division's hard, though. It's a hard division. What can you really say? If they make the playoffs, which they likely would, they'll win a game. Maybe this is a maybe this Bears has some storybook stuff going on, but I just don't know that they got what it takes to beat the Seahawks or the Rams in the playoffs. So, and it's really the same story with the Lions and the Packers. Uh, I think the Lions and Packers are slightly better than the Bears. That's tough to say about the Lions after last season, especially with the season the Bears had and whatnot. But the Jared Goff's really good. The Lions are really good, and they're gonna have a better season this year for sure. And but I think that there's not gonna be an NFC North team that goes on a playoff run this season. I think we're gonna look at first round exits. NFC South is gonna be terrible, classically. The Saints, though, they may have they might pick something up here. They might get a little steam going. They might win their division. Maybe they get into the playoffs even. Or they completely flounder everything that they've built, and which isn't much. And it'd be classic Saints territory for them to be terrible this year. So I my prediction for the NFC South winner, Saints, but I'd be happy to get clipped on this one and be like, and they get 0 wins this season or something. Totally possible in my mind. So, and then the NFC West. I already mentioned how much I like the Rams and the Seahawks. Cardinals are going to be terrible. Niners are going to be mid. And I think that the Super Bowl representer from the NFC is in this division. It's either the Rams or the Seahawks, just like this last season. Those are the two best teams in the NFC, and I don't think it's very close. The AFC. We already talked about the Bills and the Patriots. Dolphins and Jets don't exist, right? They're terrible. The Ravens. A lot of people are putting the Ravens. They're the preseason. They're the off-season and preseason goats, dude. Everybody's always picking them to be good. What can you say? But they have got the potential, of course. Old man Derek and injury-riddled Lamar at this point in his career. I don't think they've got it. I don't think they've got it. I think the Browns and the Steelers are going to both be terrible, and I think the Bengals are going to win the division this year. If Joey B has a good, healthy season, and maybe they get some training on defense, maybe some stuff happens over there for the offensive line. I think that the Bengals have a chance to win their division this year with how bad it is. And the South, the Texans probably going to end up I think they've reached their ceiling. Personally, they're probably going to be capped out. That we're probably looking at the Texans being mid forever. The Titans are going to be terrible. I think, maybe they'll take a slight step up. Maybe Cam Ward will be a little better. Doubt. Colts are going to take a big step back. Colts are not going to have the hot season they had last year. They're going to be extremely mid. Jaguars win the division. Broncos, they're going to be good. I think the AFC West is going to be a tight race between the Broncos and Chargers. I don't know what the return time on Mahomes is looking like. Raiders, I'm a big Fernando guy. Let's go, Fernando Mendoza. Tom Brady's in the organization. This is the start of what I think is a very, very promising future for the Raiders. Please, please let Fernando stay healthy and let's get some good football out of him. And the Raiders have a bright future. Aston Genty going to be awesome. It's going to be an awesome team eventually. Maybe not this year, but eventually. That is the NFL overview. And here is my Super Bowl picks. Way too early. You can clip this. This is going to be wrong, probably, but maybe I'm right. Because if I'm right, I'm clipping this and I'm posting it. So prepare yourselves. My Super Bowl picks coming out of the NFC, the Rams, and coming out of the AFC, the Denver Broncos. I think that the AFC is going to be a close. They got a lot of talent over there. I think the Chiefs are going to be, depending on Mahomes' return, even if he does return in time, like they're not going to be it. Um, the Chargers love to choke. Jaguars, I think they're really good and can do some good stuff. They might win a couple playoff games, but I think at the end of the day, Broncos defense will probably take them to the playoff or to the Super Bowl. And but the Rams have the full package, and I'm picking the Rams as next year's Super Bowl winners. So that's my Super Bowl picks. Let's go Rams. Make me correct. All right, time to talk about the Marvel street level heroes that have been on the big screen and the small one recently. We have gotten TV shows from Daredevil. We got a Nicolas Cage Spider-Man Noir, and we got the Punisher one shot. All in like the last month. It's been a good month for people who like the street level Marvel shows. And in a month and a half from now or so, we are getting the Spider-Man Brand New Day movie. Um, it's I'm pretty excited for the Spider-Man movie, especially after this month. The Spider-Man Noir show was awesome. Obviously, everyone's raving about that. This is not a hot take. The black and white was spectacular. I watched it in both. The color was awesome. The last episode, the the vibrant colors in the last episode during that fight scene and everything, man, that was awesome. That was really cool. That was really good. Daredevil season 2, that one it was good. I liked it. It was good. I will say it was clear they did a bunch of reshoots and they had changed the story a million times and probably right before the show released even. And to be honest, for a lot of people that does ruin the show. I try to just ignore it and enjoy the show, you know what I mean? But at a certain point you got to expect to get some consistency. You know what I mean? You got to expect a TV show to cover its bases and to go over and close out on the storylines that it brings up. And it wasn't the worst at doing that. Obviously, there's been plenty of shows in our recent history as humans where we have seen horrible endings and no answers to storylines, just forgotten storylines. And Marvel has been a bit chaotic also. Since Endgame. They've been a bit chaotic, just releasing stuff here and there, just trying to see what hits, it almost feels like. Um, but Daredevil overall, as a whole, good show. I really like the message it's sending. I really like the overall theme of the show. Very good. Very good content. The Punisher one shot, I thought it was awesome. And then there's just the one scene where it looks like it's PlayStation 2 graphics of Frank Castle, John Bernthal falling from that building onto that AC unit looking shit. Man, man, that was I've seen that in PlayStation graphics before. That exact scene. It's crazy. I mean, Marvel, what are we up to? You know what I mean? With the reshoots on Daredevil and then releasing that with the Punisher, I mean, you're owned by Disney. Disney's a billion-dollar corp company, right? I mean, you guys have all the financial backing in the world. You're the biggest fucking movie company. The MCU is the biggest thing. You had all this momentum. So where is the quality at? Where's the quality control team? How did we release PlayStation 2 graphics in that Punisher one shot? It was awesome. The Punisher one shot was awesome in my opinion. It felt like a John Wick movie. John Bernthal is awesome in that role, you know? It was really cool. And then you release it with that scene though. It's crazy. It's crazy. This is my biggest hot take of the day, honestly. That oh, like you have this huge movie coming out. You have this huge movie coming out, and you know that superhero fatigue and all this stuff. People are less happy about Marvel recently, and then you're gonna let something like this happen. You're gonna let these PlayStation 2 graphics get put out, and you're gonna do all these reshoots on Daredevil and have it put out like sloppy. You know what I mean? Not good, man. Not good. We gotta lock that in. Gotta lock that in. But I have not let it ruin my excitement for the upcoming Spider-Man movie. I do think that's going to be really good. I gotta say, and with all the chaos from Marvel, I think Doomsday is going to be really good. Everyone is iffy. I watch Screen Crush a lot. Screen Crush is really iffy on the Tony Stark versus Victor Von Doom scenario, and they're Robert Downey Jr. Right? They're a little bit up in arms, it seems, about that situation, and they're worried clearly that something that it's not going to be represented the best. But even with all the chaos, I'd like to trust them on this one. The Avengers movies have all been good, in my opinion. Even with the chaos of the last phase of Marvel, I think the Spider-Man movie is gonna be really good. I like the trailer. I like him having the spider, turning into a spider type of stuff coming out. I really like that. It seems like they're gonna kind of go the human spider kind of route, and it's gonna be dope. I think. Doomsday, a lot of potential. They could absolutely ruin it with too much cameo stuff instead of like making it like the hit home kind of movie the Endgame was, where all these storylines are closing and all this, and it kind of seems like Marvel might be going in the direction of just trying to cameo sell us, and get views based on big names and stuff. So hopefully they keep it grounded for the most part, and hopefully they tell a whole story in that movie and in this upcoming big event. So I'm excited for it either way, though. I gotta say, even if it's bad, I'm gonna enjoy it. I gotta keep it real with you guys. I total Marvel nerd, really like this stuff. Spider-Man fan as a little kid, obviously, Tobey Maguire. So yeah, give me Spider-Man movies all day. Give me Avengers movies all day. Please get your shit together.
What's the word? Honey,
House of the Dragon Season 3. Let's go over it. I have not read the books. I don't plan to read the books. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. Maybe an audio book or something. I do like the Game of Thrones stuff a lot. The Dunk and Egg series, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Hard. That was awesome. That was dope. And I liked House of the Dragon season 1 and 2. They were good in my opinion, a lot of haters for the show, a lot of book truthers it seems that don't like the show's take on things, and maybe even the author might be one of those people, but I didn't read the books. I'm going to try to enjoy the show for what it is, and I'm going to try and make some non-spoiler predictions on what's going to happen in season 3. So, season 2, right? Uh Basically it was a big trailer for season 3, right? I mean, a lot of cool stuff happened in season 2. It was good. But it was kind of set up to be like what season 3 is almost. It felt that way at least to a lot of the people who watched season 1 and then were coming into season 2. But that's all right. I'll take more content. I'll take an extra season. And season 2 was good. It was very good. I liked it. And you know what? You can't. A lot of shows don't take enough time to really give you all the info and really do all the background work. And I think that because of season 2, season 3 is going to hit so much harder. Um, Obviously, we've got Team Black versus Team Green. We've got uh Amond looking like he's gonna be Mr. Evil King at the top, and Aegon is looking like he's trying to come back, take his throne, and we've got Rhaenyra who has her dragons and she's gonna come take her throne. So this is gonna be a big fight, right? You don't have to read the books to know that what's coming is a big fight. A big fight with dragons. Um, and my prediction, well, maybe I shouldn't give my prediction yet. I do think that a lot of people are going to die. I think that's been made pretty clear too. I think that a good amount of the people in the show will die. The battle on the sea will probably be one of the coolest parts, right? I imagine. There's, the fleet coming from the Valerians, right? And it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a really sick fight. The dragon fight scenes are gonna be really sick. And if I had to guess what's gonna happen, I think that Aemond and Rhaenyra are gonna end up probably killing each other in a dragon fight of some sort. After a long season of them killing each other's loved ones, probably, right? Again, a lot of death. I'm imagining a lot of death in this show. So, and then it seems to me like it's being set up for these two very warring factions to go at it. A lot of deaths happen, a lot of loved ones are killed, and then some revenge, right? And then I think that Aegon is just gonna ascend, amidst the fire. He kind of dipped out after his injuries and Aemond, getting real toxic. And I think they're setting it up for him to be the Game of Thrones winner at the end of this series. And so that's my prediction. Again, I haven't read the books. This is not a spoiler, but I think that Aegon is going to win. And and win is a loose term. I mean, his whole family is going to be destroyed I imagine. So, but it's going to be so sick. I mean, this is going to be uh ruthless. Aemond is gonna have some very menace scenes. Daemon, I guess I don't know what Daemon's situation is gonna look like because he's got like that the three-eyed raven situation going on, right? He's like seeing the future and visions and stuff. So he seems like a pretty important character. I'm wondering. I don't know that how he gets left alive though. If he lives and Rhaenyra dies, then how is he not going and killing whoever takes the throne, right? Or how is he not? The show's gonna have another season if Daemon lives, in my eyes. So somehow he's gonna die, I guess. Somehow we're looking at Daemon dying in House of the Dragon season 3, maybe. So we'll see. Final prediction though, again, I think Aegon is gonna ascend the throne, and all of his relatives are gonna die in this final season. I think there'll be a lot of sad moments, probably a dragon death or two, probably some really gross moments. We're gonna see some gross stuff. Game of Thrones really likes to show the gross stuff, so we're gonna get a couple of really gory scenes, I imagine. One of the deaths of the Targaryens probably will be really gory, I'm betting, or fucked up in some way. So yeah, prepare for that. Uh, Coming in a couple weeks, I'm pretty hyped for it. Pretty hyped for it. Game of Thrones stuff is always really cool. Maybe one day I'll do the audiobooks, but for now I'm gonna just keep watching the shows. Night of the Seven Kingdoms was awesome. Was awesome, and now I am super, super hyped for House of Dragons.
What's the word? Honey,
And now it's time for my top 5 anime. So, in no particular order, except for the top spot, the number 1 anime is Attack on Titan. Honestly, it's my favorite show of all time. It's not just anime. Attack on Titan is easily my number one television show of any kind of all time. The storytelling, the twists, the the I mean just the message, the overarching theme. It's there's nothing that's ever touched it. It's the best show of all time. It makes you really love this character, Aaron. It really makes you love him. He is the most oppressed possible individual, right? And so you're rooting for the underdog for the whole series, and then you it's hard to tear away from what he becomes. It's hard to tear away from what he becomes. And whether you think what he does is correct or not, or whatever the situation may be, or obviously in like a realistic terms, like in a actual our world terms, it's an unforgivable thing, and it's an unforgivable thing in the show. And but at the same time, man, this guy, you were rooting for him the whole time because of this terrible thing that's happened to him and his people. And it just makes you think, it just makes you think. There's a lot of nuance in the world, and ha- hard topics take critical thinking skills. And there's no clear, unnuanced, black and white opinion, factual statement, maybe, to have on Attack on Titan's ending, or like as far as like the themes of the show. It's nuanced. It's not black and white. You can come in my comments and you can tell me that it's obvious that it's black and white. There's only one way to feel about it, but that's not the case. That's why it's such a polarizing topic. It's why it's a polarizing show, and people's opinions are so varied on Aaron and his on how the show ends. That's why it's the greatest show of all time. There's no other show that could do that, that has done that. So amazing, amazing. And from Isayama, who started working on the manga when he was only 19 years old, or maybe even sooner. Uh, for this absolute genius to come out of such a young person is insane. The other four anime, I don't hold a 2 through 5 slot. I just think that these four deserve spots in my top 5 personally. These are just my personal rankings, but I'm happy to have you guys come clip me, talk shit to me, debate me. Feel free to hate my opinions or love my opinions. Again, Attack on Titan is number one, and it stands above all, unquestionable. Um, these other four, though, I do like for their own reasons. The next one I'm going to list is Death Note. This is a pretty easy, safe pick. These aren't hot takes. I'm not going to sit here and act like these are hot takes. Death Note, again, is a very similar overarching theme to Attack on Titan. Um, I just think that Attack on Titan did it better in a lot of different ways. But Death Knight, or Death Note, uh, amazing, amazing writing, amazing story. Again, just genius level writing. Um, the other three shows are a little different than those two as far as overarching themes, but I really like Jujutsu Kaisen. For plenty of reasons. I really like that. Uh, I really like how they show that Gojo. I like how they show his loneliness through his success. Not necessarily that that's something I can even relate to. I'm not sure that anybody can relate to it. Maybe only the very top. And I don't mean like earners. I mean like like when you're like the greatest at something, like Usain Bolt maybe felt could relate to that in a way, or LeBron James could relate to something like that maybe, but you don't have to necessarily be able to relate to it to be able to understand it. And what a great show. What a great show. I've read the whole manga. I'm not going to spoil anything. This latest season, amazing. Amazing. The animation quality, wow. Wow. And then the other two, I've got Naruto. That's a polarizing one, I know. Very popular, very basic choice. These are all safe picks. I'm not gonna lie. These are just my personal favorites. I'm not coming on here to do hot takes or anything like that necessarily. That Naruto is just one of my favorites. Very, very good. I didn't watch it as a kid. I didn't even get super into anime until I was an adult, and I wouldn't call it super into it, but I watched all of Naruto and it was awesome. Very good show. A lot of great themes in that show too. Just the underdog mentality. Um, the other show is Full Metal Alchemist. This is another popular one of the best written shows ever. Also, I mean this is a show that'll make a one of those tough and sturdy Southern men. This is a show that would make them cry. I'm not even kidding, dude. I don't care who watches this show, dude. You can't watch this show and not get emotional. It's a show that hits home for every single human, whether it's the main character or a different character, a side character, whether it's a side plot storyline or the overarching theme. There's something in this show to make every single person on Earth, in my opinion, feel emotional in some way. So great show, high end show. That's my top five though. Again, number one, unquestionable at the top, Attack on Titan. The other four, the Naruto, Jujutsu Kaisen, Death Note, and Full Metal Alchemist. I don't really rank them amongst the top five in their four slots. They just kind of are in the top five in my opinion. Some honorable mentions. I really liked Bleach. I read the whole manga. I didn't even watch the whole anime. Read the whole manga front to back in like a week. Loved it. I watched Thousand Year Blood War. Awesome. Awesome stuff. Demon Slayer is great. I know everyone says it's super basic and there's not much to it, but in my opinion, there is a lot to it, and there's a lot of good moments and good themes in that show, in my opinion. Um, Hunter x Hunter, I liked, but I think it just had a lot of not good points, a lot of high end points, a lot of really good stuff, but some of the arcs were like I just wasn't sure why we're even here at this point. But Code Geass, Vinland Saga, great shows, love them. Didn't quite make my top five. Out of any of the honorable mentions, those two could have for sure, but you know there can only be five. So, well, that's my top five anime. I'm a weeb. Feel free to hate on me. Feel free to love me. Feel free to agree with me or feel free to disagree with me. Come comment, leave a comment, tell me your top five anime, hate on my top five anime, do whatever you want to do. Bring some receipts if you want. I don't care. Let's get it rocking. Uh, that's my top five anime. All right, that was ScrigTV. I said I'd save my finals picks for the end and my Super Bowl pick for the end, but I kind of went ahead and made those picks during those segments. But as a reminder, I originally said the Knicks would win in seven. I now have them winning in four. After taking the two games on San Antonio's court in those first two games, they're going to go back to MSG, win those two games, and I believe on Monday we're going to be looking at a 15 to 20 point loss potentially for the Spurs. And then game 4, there's no chance. It's over. Once they're up 3-0, I think the Spurs are just going to phone in. There won't even be a fourth quarter of this finals game 4. It's over. It's a sweep. And my way too early Super Bowl prediction is the Rams. I have the Rams winning, coming out of the NFC to face the Broncos. I think the Rams were already a Super Bowl quality team. If it weren't for the greatness of the Seahawks defense this last season, I think the Rams would have won the Super Bowl this year. And now they've got Myles Garrett. And with Myles Garrett on the team, there's potential that Aaron Donald could come out of retirement. The Rams are stacked. Everyone wants Matt Stafford to get one more. If he wins it and goes out like Peyton Manning did, that would be awesome. So I think the Rams are going to win one. And yeah, so That's ScrigTV though. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitch. I will be streaming video games on Twitch and YouTube. So check me out there. Have a good day.
Like I had a Daredevil. Ghost Rider. Who you think taught these kids a delivery? I'm practically Jimmy John's, freaking fast with a hint of adrenaline. Like Twister, Tornado Alley, bust him on nut with a strip of